Welcome to WTF, Ways to Freedom podcast show, where we explore all areas that bring freedom in state of mind, body, and spirit. Sit back, open your mind, and take a journey with your host, Ishangi.
Bless up, everyone. Greetings, greetings, greetings. It's a pleasure to be here. We at it again. Tuesday night, May the 14th. We are here with episode 4. I'm excited to be here. This is, a passion of mine that I have recently really jumped back into as far as, being more adamant about putting messages out, wanting to add to the ether in regards to the upliftment of diaspora people of African descent, and letting us know about our greatness, and also dealing with those things that have been put in front of us to delay that greatness. Really good to see you all. Hoping that you had a great weekend and an early week so far. Our last episode, episode 3 was on Thursday, so we do Tuesdays through Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That may change. I'm thinking about it. But nevertheless, over the weekend, we had some good response to some good viewership. Our numbers are coming up. As you're coming in, thanking you for coming in, spending your Tuesday evening with me. You could be doing something else. So I definitely want you to know that I'm always appreciative of that gesture. And as you're coming in, feel free to go ahead and let me know where you're hailing from, where you're chiming in from. I always love to know how our community is connected virtually, where you're hailing from and whatnot, keeps us all connected. So giving thanks for you for tuning in. And whether you're watching live or you'll be watching it later on the replay, I do hope that you find this information that you will find that will be able to apply to your life. Right. So with that said, I'm hoping that your weekend again was great. The beginning of the week is good. Tomorrow's hump day already. We're approaching mid-May already. And again, like to me, it just seems like time is just like, it's just going too fast. It just, you can't even get a harness on it. We're already approaching half the year, and summer's upon us. So I'm looking forward to some great warmer weather and, experiencing some more time outside. We've been getting a lot of rain lately, but it is what it is. As you're coming in, too, just as a gesture to help me to build this channel, I do appreciate you going ahead and if you haven't already, go ahead, like and subscribe. I hope that I will earn that like and subscribe if you have not already, but it doesn't hurt. It's free currency. It helps me to build a channel, and it just allows me to be able to get folks, reach larger folks. Sister Ami, yes, greetings, family. Ami, yes, and giving thanks for you coming in. Aunt Uja Seneb, absolute. Giving thanks for you tuning in. Strong supporter. And I want to thank you in front of everyone too for the testimonial that you sent in regarding to my class, my masterclass financial literacy, that you sent a testimonial on, and I actually put it up online the other day over the weekend. So giving thanks for you for putting yourself out there and speaking on behalf of the work that I'm doing and sharing with our folks. Again, helping us grow our channel is paramount for me. I'm really trying to have a greater, I want to, and it's not ego, it's more so trying to just address some things that I feel are missing and that I'm seeing online, especially with the fact that now that we have things like YouTube, people can make their own music, they can make their own channels, put out their own content. We don't have to rely on the news, so-called. We'll talk about a little bit of that later on, about the news and their propaganda and how they want you to sway on certain things. Excuse me. I think that there's an importance. It's very important that we have some balance, or at least some weight in regards to another perspective, specifically speaking to us, because when we are spoken of, is usually in something that is, negative or something that is treacherous or disastrous, So speaking about our stories, speaking about our greatness, speaking about those again that are delaying that greatness. This is that space for that. So I just wanted to create this channel, and doing so. Uh, so I just to give you a little for those that may be new, just to give you a backdrop of why WTF, and it doesn't mean what the beep. It means ways to freedom. Even though we're dealing with some WTF information, some things, scenarios that are happening, but the most important thing about this channel is to create dialogue to inspire ways towards we can break ourselves away and do our own thing if we choose to, or even a hybrid mode. All right. So just to give you an idea, in this show, we cover primarily 6 things, but they're all covered behind the 10 areas of people activity. I go into depth of those in previous episodes, but just to give you the 10 areas of people activity real quick, it is economics, entertainment. Brother Howard Dorsey, what's up, bro? I saw you last night on Brother Heru's show. That was great, man. Y'all really, it was a great, amazing show, brother. So giving thanks for you taking time out to check me out, man. I really give thanks for that. And hope that you enjoy this evening's session. All right. Appreciate it. But yeah, so basically the 10 areas are economics, education, entertainment, health, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And when you look at those 10 areas that was compiled by Drs. Neely Fuller and Francis Cress Welsing, who's now an ancestor, is we and Brother Kidi Awadu put up the 10th area of health, that we find that global white dependency. I don't call it supremacy because there's nothing supreme about them. They are not in power unless we allow them to. So they've convinced us that we need them. And because of that, Brother Gerard Houston's in the building, giving thanks, General, for tuning in tonight, giving thanks. Salute, salute. So when we look at the fact that we are in this space where these global white dependents have put together 10 areas, those that I mentioned, they use that to govern and control the rest of the world. We can talk about each one, and we can find that there's at the head of that someone of white or European ethnicity, and they are using it in a way to take advantage of the masses. And they all know that if they can keep African people down, then everyone else will follow suit. So the prime goal is to keep us in a situation where we are not sure of who we are, unaware of our identity. And you think about it, it's very effective to this day. We still don't know what to call ourselves, especially in America. A lot of us still don't even want to call ourselves African. Now some of us, and it's fine to call ourselves Moors and all that. I'm not going against any of that. But when we look at diasporically from a timeline, as Asa Hilliard says, when you study history, do it in chronological order, everybody didn't just pop up here in the region, right? So when we look at that very first Homo sapiens sapien, the oldest bones we find over 200,000 years ago was found on the continent of Africa. So, technically, yeah, everyone's African. And, we went through this due to geographically where you were maybe migrated to, you might have changed. But nevertheless, I'm speaking about us. We are melanated beings. And the sooner that we see ourselves as a collective, like everyone else sees us as that way, and they take advantage from that, keeping us separate, the better off we'll be. And that will be one of the biggest keys to our victory and getting back to knowing who we were and getting back to those old glory days that we are so fond of, those of us that's done that research. So the whole goal here tonight is to, again, cover those 10 areas. Tonight's area that we're going to be covering, we'll do like six things, right? So we'll do, we cover philosophy, we cover health, we cover, tonight we're doing finances, there's history, there's STEAM. So we're covering roughly 6 themes. Each show is going to cover one of those type of themes. And tonight we're going to cover finances. So with that said, tonight's topic is why we all need financial therapy. And this is going to go into pretty much a detailed conversation about how finances has become a large part of who we are and how we behave, not just with our spending power, but our relationships. One thing we will find is that a lot of our stress levels are triggered by the lack of funding As they say, more money, more problems. I actually think it's less money, more problems. I think that's what it really is. And because of that, we are thinking that it's natural that we are to struggle, inherited struggle. Even Talib Kweli's call it a beautiful struggle. There's nothing really beautiful when it continues to get handed down generation after generation, where it's continually getting worse, worse and worse. So we need to be doing better about changing that type of activity in our bloodlines, so that we can get back to again where those glory days where we were that we've read about. So let me just first give a summary. I always do a summary to intro what tonight's going to be talking about, just to give you an idea. I'm going to read it real quick here. We all need some kind of financial therapy and may not know it. Money has and will continue to take part of our adult lives until our last breath. Many of us will spend our entire adult lives earning instead of learning how to make it work for you and not vice versa. There's a need to look deeply about how we can think, feel, communicate, and behave differently about money to improve our overall well-being. Doing this can affect the trajectory of the present and future bloodlines. So that's what we're going to be getting into tonight, is why financial therapy is such an important topic for us to talk about. And some people might get in their feelings. Some might, feelings meaning you might be a little bit embarrassed, or you might be like, "Yo, those are aha moments." Like, yeah, is he talking to me directly? Please understand that I come from the same cloth. I have actually had these same type of experiences, still enduring financial challenges. And we all are, because the way it's designed is you got to every 30 days come up with something. So the goal here is to try to break away from that race war, or race towards creating money rather, and learn how to make money work for you. Okay. P. Turtle and Emmy, giving thanks for you tuning in. Word. So yeah, let's get into it, y'all. Let's get into it. All right. So let me take off. So me, my style is, I love going off to the dome, but when I go off the dome, sometimes I get on tangents, and sometimes it's kind of like, there's so much information I want to share. I want to make sure I can get back to where I was. So what I did was I wanted to add a slideshow here. This is also, I think, good for educational purposes, because, we are visually, a person, a people as much as we are with reading. So it's not to say we can't read, but I love to give visuals to accompany and make somebody think in. Okay, so just please bear with me, and I hope that you find that this slideshow will help drive some points home that I'll be speaking about this evening. All right, so let's get into it, y'all. All right. So I want to start out with the questions. And these are rhetorical. You can answer yourself if you want to put it in the chat. I don't want to chat fire, because they usually are. So feel free to engage. Your thoughts are welcome. Your opinion welcome. So please feel free to do that. But I want these questions. Keep knowing honest questions that I want you to ask yourself. What would you do if you showed up to work Monday and found out you were being let go? What would be the first thing you think about? That's the first question. If you were showing up to work on a Monday and they found out you were letting you go, so you didn't even get a chance to get to your desk, your cubicle, wherever you are, your office, whatever. Second part is, the second question is two parts, is do you live paycheck to paycheck? And if so, what is your plan to earn more? Okay, like an actual plan, not, well, I want to do this. I want to, like, actually, a written out design plan. And B, which the second part of two is, if not, do you have more than 6 months savings? Okay. And the third question is, have you ever said, I really can't complain, at least I have a job? Meaning, we'll sit there and talk about how, they overworking us, underpaying us, doing all this work, and how stressed out you are, can't stand your coworkers, and they keep eating your lunch and all that kind of stuff. But in the end, you say, but at the end, I can't complain, at least I have a job. If that is you, and you're saying that to yourself or to other people at the end, and you close off with saying, after you complain and rant and rave about how you still are thankful that you have that job, I need you to go back to question one. What would you do if you showed up to work on Monday and they just suddenly said, "Hey, we're not, we're phasing you out. We gotta let you go." Okay, this is a cycle that is happening, whether it happens in 5 years or 20 years, but each of us will experience this cycle, and it usually comes unexpectedly. So it's not like they give you a ticker and says, "Hey, you got 180 days more left." If you got a place like that, then I'm pretty sure the business will shut down because people will leave. Businesses understand that if we let people go the day of, we got a better chance of keeping the thing going. But if we give people notice, then obviously people will jet and will be, up shit's creek. So they understand, and I'm not saying it's that I condone what they're doing, but nonetheless, we are but numbers and to them. And so when they ready to let us go, they're gonna let us go, and whenever they feel like it without notice. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it's been. Okay. So we have to adjust. So Jim Rohn said this, and this is one of my favorite quotes. I say this a lot, and I really try to apply this to everything. If you don't design your own plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much, right? So that's really what we are facing here when you think about it. You may think that you have a plan and you're putting things in place, but in essence, if you have not created it to where you are sustainable, you are really on someone else's plan. And when they're ready to pull the plug, your plan now becomes, put on pause, or if not, canceled entirely. That's just the way it is because we haven't planned ourselves correctly, right? That's just, and it's again, this is not to point fingers. This is just to point the realization that we haven't had time to think about these things because we're too busy working. We don't have time to think about the future, even though we're putting the money away to hope that will deal with the future. We haven't really had a chance to actually map out how we're going to deal with the future. So this isn't what life is supposed to be like. We're the only species on this planet that has to pay rent to live here. And when you think about that, I said that in my pilot because it really hit me one day, and I was just like, man, I'm outside, and I'm looking at the birds and I'm looking at the bees and how their hornets are setting up, their nest anywhere they want. They don't have to come and ask, can they move their nest here? Birds don't have to say, hey, can I borrow some of your twigs from your tree and bring it over here? They don't have to ask or sign a permit or a lease. Yet we do. Wherever we want to lay our head, we have to have some sort of agreement and permission and pay to be in that space. That's really important to think about because when your mind is occupied on trying to pay for where you lay your head, that takes up a large space of your time. Okay. It's not to say I want to live freely. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I do want to live freely, but I'm saying I don't want to have to create a wasp nest and then someone comes and knocks it down and I got to go create another one. I obviously want some stability. You want to build some structure. So I get, but rhetorically, I'm speaking about it rhetorically. I'm thinking about it, from a, just from an imaginative perspective, that it's really crazy that the so-called most intelligent being on this planet that we proclaim to be has also found a way to make it the most difficult to live here. That you need those permissions in order to do so. All right. So money to me truly has gotten in the way of what our living experience is supposed to be like. It makes common sense to master money so you can own your time and live your life purposely. But unfortunately, common has been removed and sense has been replaced with cents as in dollars and cents. So, we really are living in a space where Sister Ami says, I do want to live in the bush for a while. Yeah, I mean, it's a great experience. I've done it. I intend to spend the rest of my life doing portions of that, my life doing that, off grid, on grid. It is a great experience because you get to become more one with nature. Now, I'm not trying to be out there where the animals are, like with jaguars and, and wildlife. No, I need some domestication here. I need to have some even some Wi-Fi, even some electricity for sure. But nevertheless, the hustle and bustle of city life and, living in metropolises where it's just a whole bunch of people, I'm kind of past that. But again, to each his own. To each his own. So what I want to talk about, in regards to this is the psychosis. There's a psychosis that we've been developing. And I think that the biggest thing that we have to admit to ourselves is that we all have some sheep in us. All right, we have some sheep in us. And what I mean by that is, we live in a world where everyone pretty much operates on what everyone else is doing. Like they really don't think for themselves. Like we've really been put in a place where we're afraid to think for ourselves, right? That let's use an example. When we had COVID, right? When COVID came out, quarantine started, and we started to see that people were running to the store to buy goods. Makes sense, right? Because you don't know how long this is going to be. You want to be able to have stuff for your family. But what was really comical to me was what folks were buying. Do you remember what they were buying? They were buying, instead of buying food, canned goods, and water, they were buying toilet paper, y'all. People were buying mad rolls of toilet paper. And I don't know who started it, but there's a term called FOMO, fear of missing out. And when you think about, someone must have saw one person probably take a big old cart at Costco or Sam's and started filling that thing up with toilet paper. And then someone thought, oh man, they're getting toilet paper. He's going to take it all. It's not enough for me. I better go get some before he takes it all. So then all it takes is one person to do that. And the next person sees two people now trying to grab as much toilet paper as they can. Now it becomes 3, now it becomes 8, now it becomes, and now everybody's now hauling into it. Eventually people are fighting over toilet paper, right? Now I was looking at that and I was just like, wow, this is really crazy, because what is toilet paper for? We use toilet paper to wipe yourself, right? So what you're wiping is obviously residue from what you've eaten, right? So to me, wouldn't it make sense to actually, so you, first of all, you can't eat toilet paper, y'all, right? We know this. Can't eat toilet paper. So why is the emphasis on buying something that you need to relieve yourself, but you're not buying the thing that allows you to even have your belly full to be able to relieve yourself? That to me was where it got really crazy. Because I was like, wow, people are really that stupid that they're going to go and buy all this toilet paper, walk over and past the canned goods or the produce or the water and be fighting over toilet paper. So let me realize there's something in us that's wired wrong. We've been programmed, and that needs to be fixed. That needs to be analyzed more than anything else. It needs to be analyzed. So that was where I started really thinking about how crazy this thing is. So we talk about the sheep mentality. Right? We talk about the sheep mentality. We all have sheep in us. We all. If you were raised in this society, you have some sheep in you. Now, what's the sheep mentality? The sheep mentality is, if you look at a herd of sheep are following each other, but they're not looking. The only one that's probably looking is the one in the front, and that sheep in the front is most likely following a shepherd, or whatever they call them, the guy that's leading them, right? So everyone else is following because they're all relatively the same height, so they can't look up and see where they're going. They're actually looking at the ass that's in front of them. So what are they following? They're following the ass that's in front of them. Okay. So think about this. If you get a bunch of sheep and the lead is leading them over a cliff, guess what? One by one, because you're not watching where you're going. You're just looking at the ass in front of you, and wherever it goes, if it turns left, I go left. If it turns right, I go right. That when it tips over, then guess what? You're falling over the cliff with the rest of them. So that is the sheep mentality, is that we don't know how to think for ourselves. We only do what everybody else is doing. And that's where it started to make me realize we need to check our mental engine. We know in the car, when you driving your car, and that you dread when that light comes up to check your engine, right? We have not checked our mental engine for decades. And most of us, if we're, in your 30s, 40s, 50s, it's probably been that long since you've checked your mental engine, meaning how do you think for yourself? Do you reassess? How do you process information? Instead of worrying about FOMO and doing what everyone else is doing, how do you try to break away from the urge to do what everyone else is doing and rationalize this makes sense for you, and then make a better decision for yourself. Okay. So with this, there's a couple of things that comes into this psychosis. This is again ties into why we need financial therapy, because we have to look at it psychologically. What is our mindset? And when you are constantly worried about trying to create for the next 30 days so that you can keep your lights on, so you keep food on your plate, even if you got a steady job, without that, you wouldn't be able to do it, right? So there's still some underlying stress in the back of your mind. If you lost that job, y'all be in trouble probably. If not immediately, within a couple months or whatever, depending on how much savings you have. But inevitably, this is your primary source of being able to sustain yourself, right? So there is some level of stress there, whether it's extreme or minute, but there is. And me being a lover of acronyms, stress to me, I broke it down into someone trying to repair every situation solo. Because that's kind of what we do, with stress, is that we pretty much, we don't want people to know how messed up we are because we're embarrassed. We're too embarrassed. Even though we could use the help, but we are afraid to ask for help because we don't want to be seen as, oh, look at this ninja, right? He don't know what he's doing. Or we don't want to be ridiculed for making mistakes or having trouble or challenging times when actually we were never equipped how to be adults, y'all. We were never really equipped on how to use money. Think about that. We've never really had a proper introduction to how money works. So at the core of a lot of our stresses that we may have, finances is a big part of that. And because of that, it bleeds into other things, especially like relationships with our family and friends. Okay. So stress creates, when you think about this, it goes back to, let's just say, before we were in modern era, right? Modern era where things were, pretty much taken care of us. We can go to the store, we know the food's there. But before, when we were hunter gatherers and you had to, get your own food, the only way that you would get it is you went out and get it, right? You had to go out there and hunt for it, right? Or you had to go fishing, or you had to go in and grow food and wait for it to grow. But you had to put in time and effort in order for you to fill your belly, right? You had to. These are basically the way you lived life before. Again, things got comfortable for us. That created a fight or flight mentality, because when you're out there trying to find food, especially if you're out there hunting the wild, it's kill or be killed, right? So it's not guaranteed you're gonna come home. So of course your adrenaline is lit. It's at the highest, because you could win, you could lose, right? And so adrenaline is what's created. Adrenaline is created in your body when you're anxious, when you're excited, when you're scared. It's things of that nature, and also cortisol. And that's what's going to allow you to fight, give you the strength to either fight or flight, right? Those hormones are still in us. Those that our your ancestors had, hundreds of years ago, again, when they had to fend for themselves, those same energies and same qualities are in us. It's just that they've been calcified because, again, things are, I can drive down to Chick-fil-A if I don't eat fast food. But if I wanted to get something to eat, someone's made it for me already. I don't have to go out and hunt and wait and, risk my life to put something in my belly, right? So with that said, it's kind of that skill has become calcified. It doesn't erase the fact that, it still has issues, because stress, when you have stress, that adrenaline and cortisone is usually ways to get relieve that stress, right? Because you're actually using the energy that's building up. It's like your body's revving up to use this energy, and you use it when you're in the hunt, right? But if you're stressed out and you're aggravated and you're getting all this, you got this tense in you and you never use it, and it stays within your body, it can become toxic. It can become toxic. Actually, it can become cancerous, right? It can actually kill you. When you do not deal with your stress and you let it build up in you, you can have all types of organ, psychological, all types of issues that can basically end your life prematurely, right? So when we think about statistically, let's look at what's happening, how it affects us. Let me bring this up a little bigger so we can see this here. POADIS, and you see the POADIS with the asterisk. POADIS, again, is an acronym meaning people of African descent, United States. So basically melanated people, because there's so many names. We call ourselves Black, African, Caribbean, Moor, whatever we want to call us. Again, no shade on any of that. But I think about what they see us as the others see us. They see us as one collective, and they'll even put on a consensus or application, Black or African American, right? And you could be from the Caribbean, but you got to put down Black or African American, right? But the point I'm making is, Pilates, people of African descent in the United States, ages 40 and older, hypertension, which is basically high blood pressure, 64% of us, 64%, nearly 7 out of 10 of us have high blood pressure. Now, obviously, it can be linked to food, but it also is not talked about is stress. Stress causes your heart to race sometimes, right? And when you don't deal with it, it turns into issues, right? Obesity, 62%. 6 out of 10 of us are obese. High cholesterol, 40%. And diabetes, 23%. I think that number is actually higher, but statistically, this is what I saw. So what do you do when you are stressed is what actually compounds the stress. When someone is stressed out, you come home from a hard day's work, or you just paid all your bills, you just got paid, and now you got to sit here and pay for those bills. You're stressed out, right? So what do you do next? Well, man, I need to relax, I need to just do something that's going to take my mind off of this. So what do? You might blaze up. You might get some yak. You drink some yak. You might do some hookah. You might you might even do something harder. But the point is that people are trying to find something to kind of rid that feeling, right, of being pissed off, being stressed out. I just earned all this money, now it's gone. I got paid, now it's gone because I pay all these bills, right? So we feel like we don't have nothing to show for it, right? And so that is what's playing into the cycle of you're trying to deal with stress, right? You go to work, you get all these hours that you work, you come home, you're tired. Then you do the right thing by paying your bills, and then you have nothing left over, so you get stressed out about it. So what do? You go get lit, which is hurting your body. It's hurting your spirit, all these type of things. So this is the cycle that we go through. We go through this for 30, 40 years, and then we get to our 40s and 50s, and we have this midlife crisis and don't know how we got here. So this cycle is created simply by looking at the deception. I feel like we haven't really I think we haven't brought these circles together. This is why I'm doing it now. Mentally, mental, we have to deal with the mental stress orders, our diets, less physical activity, because a lot of us are sitting at our cubicles, all day. Anxiety, be it from, a bill or how much work you got to do, the deadlines, being overworked, underpaid. Racism, we still are experiencing that, either at work or in real life. World events, we can talk about so many different things happening in the world where we feel like, damn, I don't even want to turn the TV on. I can't even watch the news. FOMO, because we're looking at some of our friends that trying to keep up with the Joneses. They're doing things we wish we could do it, but we can't. Adulting, because we didn't think that it was going to be this hard to be adults, but it is, and we're kind of like, damn, I need a break. I need that midlife crisis we have. And then this also bleeds into our relationships, because some of our relationships suffer because of these stress levels, because we don't know how to communicate with each other. But when we factor in the other part that very seldom gets talked about, this is really, I think, the gasoline to the fire, the finances. We go and we get certified. We get all the education that they say we're supposed to get, and we're still paying back loans. The job didn't show up that they said would be there, the 6-figure job. The stability of that job is gone. The jobs that our grandparents used to have, where you would be at a company for 25 plus years, 10 years no longer here. It's out the window. We got that 15 to 30 year mortgage that we're trying to pay off. That is an agreement we had with the bank to pay off within this certain amount of time, not realizing that if we don't have a job, we won't be able to make that payment. Living expenses, cost of living is continually going up. Investment risks, we want to put it in something like a stock or whatnot, but the returns are very low. We keep in a savings account and get less than 1%. And then we have inflation. So the money that you're saving right now might not even be worth nearly half of what it is 10, 20 years from now when you're trying to retire. These are the things that are stress indicator causing, and we never really dealt with it. We never get a chance to really talk about it, right? So one thing I want to put out there is that we should rid the thought that adulthood equals stress. It should not be stressful as an adult. Um, but for many of us, we think it's synonymous. We should say, hey, this is part of adult. There's the thing recently saying is, life be life in, adult, we're just adulting. That's what it is. Like we figure it's supposed to be hard. And just, because it's hard for the next person. So don't complain. Everyone is going through it, right? So we accept it passively and don't do anything about it. We just figure that's what it is. We just got to take these lumps. But the thing is that when you think about it is every cell in your body is programmed to operate and adjust by how your mentality is. If you think about this, the cells in your body are kind of like, I would say, they are more like your troops, right? Your troops. And your body is the kingdom, right? And your cells are what's going to protect the throne. So it's up to you to convince your troops to stay motivated to go out there and do a good job, right? And your troops kind of understand and know you better than you know yourself. So when someone meets you and they ask, yo, what's good? How you doing? You're like, oh, it's good. Everything's well, man. Everything's good. And you know what isn't? Your cells know when you're lying because your cells are eavesdropping on things that you're doing, right? Your cells are basically in a space where they know what's going on with your body and they act accordingly. So I put out there that, every cell in your body is eavesdropping on your thoughts, right? So you can go out there and fake it and act like these are all things are all well, but in reality, we know what it is. So they're going to act accordingly. If they can't feel like they are convinced that you are doing a good job or that you are giving your maximum effort or that you have like the resolve to get through the situations, then they're not going to believe in themselves either. So I'm not here to talk. I am going to talk about how bad things are, but I'm also going to talk about how we can get out of the situation. And it's up to us to believe in ourselves to pull ourselves out of the situation. That's really what it comes down to, is one having the ability to find solutions. First of all, if you're looking for solutions, you got to know that there's a problem. So we're going to talk about that problem first, and then we'll get into what that is. So what I find is that the trigger that has caused a lot of us to have these, I'll just say, stressful lives of adulting is because the thing that we don't talk about enough is money. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. I would say that the number one thought for adults is money, because money is taboo. We don't speak about it. We don't want to talk about it because if we do talk about it, it'll end up in a conversation about someone that owes you money, a relative, or someone that, stole some money from you and it ain't paid you back or whatever. And so we don't really get into no wealth building conversations. We get into wealth beefs. We get into money beefs about what you done to me or how much you owe me or you took this from me and never gave it back or whatever, right? So, because it's taboo, we go through this cycle that I learned. And it's a 5-point cycle. This cycle is that we sacrifice our health in order to make money. So some of us will do the most dangerous jobs because we need to make that dollar, right? And even if it's not physically dangerous, it could be something like you could be in chemicals and you're inhaling chemicals and not realizing that it's going to shorten your life. Unfortunately, that happened to my mother. Second, you sacrifice money to recuperate our health. So if you do get sick, you got to pay for it. So the money that you were saving for that so-called rainy day now gets eaten up with you having to cover, whatever medical bills you may have that your insurance doesn't cover. And then we get so anxious about the future that we don't enjoy the present moment because everything is about retirement. Everything is about making money to put away for later on, right? We're always thinking about the 401ks and the stocks that we put away and life insurance, et cetera, for those rainy days. And those rainy days are supposed to come when we are in our 60s, 65 plus, right? So we're going to forego 65 and under from 20 to 64. We're going to forego those years where we're probably at our highest energy wise, right? And we're going to, in our latter years when we have less energy, so we really can't fully enjoy what we put away for ourselves. To me, that's oxymoronic. It's the same thing to me as someone thinking that, hey, if you live your hell now, you go to heaven later. It's just a mentality that's been put into us. It's a psychosis. And the fourth point is, as a result, we don't live in the present because we're so caught up into the future. We don't live in the present or the future. We're living as if we're never going to die. So we're thinking I could do with this tomorrow. And again, I talked about earlier how fast time is going. We're already in May. Like time just goes, right? We never think about living right now because we're too busy focused on the present. So we don't deal the future. So we don't deal in the present. We're too busy caught up into trying to put something away for later on. And then the fifth point is we die having never truly lived. A lot of us isn't guaranteed you're going to make 65, especially, Powhatan men, people of African descent who are men. We don't reach, I think our average age is 62. So we won't even reach 65 to get that so-called Social Security that isn't going to be here, actually, if you do your research. All right. Sister Ami says, what stresses me at this point, we are designed to operate in community. I can have the money, but without community, what good is it? I can't live in a sustainable situation by myself. Absolutely. I mean, I think the problem is that we don't think about collectively what we can do with those funds to perpetually put in place for everyone else to live off of those type of situations. There's so many models out here for us to do together. But our problem, I think, number one, too, is that we have an issue with trust. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, too. Trust is the biggest thing that also is a barrier to our progress. So then there comes, the midlife crisis. And midlife crisis, basically, we see that the midlife crisis is when you get to that point where you've been working and doing all this stuff for a long time, and you're trying to live and you're tired of working so hard and you got nothing to show for it. But that midlife crisis is something that is a plea for help for you to want to have a better life. But again, we're not looking for help. So we're stressed out. And that we're doing is that's someone is trying to repair a situation solo. We're trying to figure it out ourselves. We're not having a conversation. We're not even sitting with our family members, our loved ones, and really talking about, hey, man, are you going through the same thing? And what can we do? Or is there anybody else that's going through this? And what do they do to change their situation, the trajectory of where they're going, right? So we need to actually think about having those situations. And I equate this to a morbid obese person who wants to lose weight. They are addicted when it comes to us with money, right? Spending money that we don't have. A person that is trying to lose weight, they want to go to the gym and they want to work out, and they realize they're too heavy to finish the workout. They're just not strong enough to hold that weight. So what does that do? That plays with their mind and makes them feel depressed. It makes them feel like they're trapped. I'm not strong enough to even do a workout. So what do I do when I'm depressed? The very same thing that got me here. I'll probably eat. I'll probably have some ice cream. I'll probably eat something that is unhealthy, which is going to actually just continue to add to the weight that I already have. So it's the same situation I think we have with ourselves in dealing with money, is that we don't have that right understanding of how money works. So when we are depressed, we're going to go out and splurge. We get our income tax. Hey, where we flying to, right? We're going to blow that money because we want to feel like I got something to show for it. I'm getting up every morning, every day, working my behind off, and I got nothing to show for it. So I'm going to blow this and I'll deal with my bills when I get back. I know I've been guilty of that. Okay. Sister Ami said also, I definitely have trust issues and worse thanks to your Boulay presentation. I'm looking at everyone with a side eye. Yeah, absolutely. Black facts is that, it's something about you have to find your tribe because everyone's not worthy, even if you're the same skin complexion. That's just the reality of it. It's just, it is. It is because we have different mentalities. And the trust isn't necessarily meaning that they're a bad person. It's just that you maybe not your trust levels aren't the same. Okay. But getting back to this, we'll talk about how generational trauma is also receiving end of stress because it gets passed down. We're trying to keep up with the Joneses. We're trying to have the nice cars and the whips, and we're trying to travel and show pictures on the gram about where we are and whatnot. And we'll come back and deal with our bills later. Not realizing that our jobs are what's allowing us to do that. So yeah, you may be able to do it right now, but 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, you may not. And at the end of the thoughts that you might have as far as the risks are concerned and stress levels is that it could end up in poverty, or you might have government assistance, or you might even be homeless. In actuality, it also creates, when you're spending money that you don't have, it creates compounded interest, be it from college or job mortgage traps or even credit cards. And it leads to an impoverished mentality that gets passed down because our children see how we react to the grievances of not having the right funds to do so, right? And when I speak about these issues, please understand it's systemic. It's by design. Pretty much everything I speak about on this show is going to be to show you that it is someone or some ones that came up with devised a plan to create the situation so that it's harder for you. And again, this is why global white dependency. So they need for you to follow into this trap in order for them to survive and for them to take advantage. So what you're experiencing here is definitely something that has been already put in place, and we just have to understand that. And when we understand it, now I can remove the personal thing, emotion from it, and realize, oh, I'm just a number. So it isn't directly towards me; it's directly towards all of us. So that means there's room for me to escape. I can get out of this, right? And they gloat about it. They gloat about it. If you did any research, you would see how they are actually letting people know, let people know that we got y'all, and y'all can't get out of this trap, right? This is what Massachusetts Mutual Life Insurance said in 2019. They said that African Americans fall short on executing life-changing measures, such as accumulating wealth, being better prepared for retirement, and building up savings. This is a life insurance company that understands that their best client is us, because we're the ones that are putting away the money in the right space. So we'll give them this money and not question it, hoping they're going to do right by us. And in most cases, they won't. We'll give them this money. They'll give us a small percentage in return, and they make a huge gain, right? This is the game that, we don't understand it. We've never been properly introduced to money. And so because of that, and it's ironic, I have to emphasize this. The one thing that really is going to govern our entire adult lives, which is money, we know the least about. Think about that. Have you ever taken a finance class in grade school, middle school, high school? If you did in college, probably because you majored in it, but even there, you weren't taught how to properly manage money. You might have learned about supply and demand. My freshman year, I took economics. But the point is that we're never properly taught about finances, because if they did teach us that, then we would be of no use to them. Okay. This is just the way it's set up, y'all. So, So other stress triggers is we're in constant fear because of agitation propaganda. If it's not politics, if it's not Wall Street, if it's not banking, if it's not food and gas prices, everyone wants to have that financial freedom, but we don't know how to get freedom outside of the lottery or trying to find some get rich quick gimmick that we find on the internet, right? On social media. All of this triggers fear, anxiety, and depression of not being able to provide, or worse, survive. And we eat a daily dose of this each day on our plate. Every day we're eating fear, anxiety, and depression and not really realizing it. And we're thinking this is just the way it's supposed to be. And it isn't. Okay. So there's something that we need to think about this. These triggers, are they real? These triggers are absolutely real. I want to show you a clip of how, I call it massa media, or, we talk about the media and how they all are putting out the same information. Agitation propaganda. Look up this word, agitation propaganda. Agitating information, meaning you might hear a song on the radio that you cannot stand, but if you listen to the radio all day, you're going to hear that song every hour on the hour. By the end of the day, you might be humming that song when you wash the dishes. It's agitation. They're going to keep putting it in your face, poking you to eventually you give in and you start thinking it, because it penetrates your psychosis, and now you start thinking about it. So the news has been very big on this. And so because of that, I found this clip where I talked about earlier, I talked about how YouTube has enabled people to put out their own news, right? So because of that, we're finding that that they're having issues with people now putting out their own propaganda. So I'm going to play this clip that I found here that was really interesting. And please listen to it clearly because it should wow you. Check this out.
To serve our Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about trouble and irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Okay. Let me pull myself up. So, yo, when I saw that, I was like, wow, like they literally are reading from the same script. And if you think about it, it does make sense because if you know anything about the media company here in the bottom left, you'll see it's Viacom, AOL, Time Warner, News Corp, Clear Channel, and Disney. These are the 5 companies that own all of the media, right? So obviously, and there was a movie, I can't remember what this movie was. I got to get a clip of it, but there was a movie that talks about propaganda and how they go in there and they control the story. They make these stories up. And they'll even dock footage, create something in the studio to make it seem like something is happening. But the point is that they want us to be in a mindset of thinking that what's happening is authentic to your area or your region. And they all put out the same narrative, the same story, right? And then they have the audacity now to come out and say, well, hey, let's talk about fake news. Y'all are the biggest fake news out. I hate to use fake news because that's Trump's word, but y'all have been the biggest fake news since your inception. You all put out misinformation. When's the last time you turned on the news and had good news to put out there? I haven't heard good news in a long time. It's interestingly enough, too, is I remember when the last presidential election, how I watch news just to figure out, which person who's already decided who's going to be president. If y'all don't know, look up the Trilateral Commission. Your vote doesn't count. We'll talk about that in another episode. But the Trilateral Commission already chosen who the next president is, be it Bush or Biden or whoever else is going to be. But the point is that I was sitting there just watching, just to hear what was going on. And there was a list of other things that were happening in 2020, present or at that time, present day issues, right? War, famine, political strife, etc. And once Biden won, I stopped watching the news for 6 months. And then I happened to just one day just turn on CNN about 6 months later. And they were talking about a whole nother set of things to be scared of. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, the last time I was on here, they was talking about COVID or some other stuff that were happening. Now they're on a whole nother set of issues that you should be aware of. What happened to those? Did they ever happen? So what I'm saying is that what we see is the media is constantly trying to put out information to keep you at bay, to keep you thinking that the sky is falling. And because the sky is falling, then you're going to be continually looking at the world like a deer looking in the headlights. You're not going to sit up there and be proactive. You'll be reactive if and when you actually see something, which in most cases don't really happen. And if it do, it's to a minute degree. They only make something seriously happen if it's something really big they want to pass, they want to convince the world with, and I'm not going to talk about what happened 5 years ago. We know what that is. But in most cases, these things never come into fruition. Meanwhile, you wasted 5 years waiting for this thing that's happening and never came, right? Meanwhile, what are they doing? The 1% is kicking off of your disability to move. And if anything, you're a sheep. So we're saying, go this way and you're going that way. If we're telling you to take this or take this shot or drink this thing or eat this thing, we're doing it because we don't know what else to do because we're not thinking for ourselves. This is the reality that we're facing, y'all. And it's important that we start to look at it that way so that we can understand that this is planned. This is planned. All right. So I want to emphasize this quote right here. This is really important because we talked about the jab. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I will talk about how the fact that, they convinced us to take it. Some of us did. And now we're finding out that some people are having residual effects from it, have had, and now they're coming to light. Now we're finding that some of those people that have been pro, the movement of taking the shot is that then they're backshotting and they're saying, oh, no, it's not, they're kind of basically, I didn't say that or whatever. But this is a quote from, let me remove this banner so y'all can see the name here. This was put out by Jacques Attali, if I'm saying his name correctly. Attali, maybe. French Jewish, he was a French Jewish president of France in 1981. He said this: in the future, this is in 1981, y'all. And in the future, it will be a question of finding a way to reduce the population. We will start with the old, then the weak, and then the useless, and especially the stupid ones. We will get rid of them by making them believe it is for their own good. We will find something or cause it a pandemic that targets certain people, a virus that will affect the old or the fat. It doesn't matter. The weak will succumb to it. The fearful and the stupid will believe it and ask to be treated. We will have taken care to have planned the treatment, a treatment that will be the solution. The selection of idiots will thus be done. They will go to the slaughterhouse on their own. I mean, he said this in 1981. And I mean, 2020, we saw it. 40 years later. I mean, we've been seeing it ever since 81 too, because people are getting flu shots and all that stuff. So it isn't just in 2020, but in mass, we saw it really highlighted in 2020 through 2022, I would say at least. Right. So again, this is the sheep FOMO, afraid to step out on your own, do some research, stand on your own type of mentality that we have been indoctrinated with. We don't know how to think for ourselves. And when we do, we're afraid to be casted stones at, because it's usually your loved ones that are going to be like, are you crazy? You better go ahead and do that. Right. So again, here's another scenario that was put out in there's a book called 1984 by George Orwell. And this book talked about, it was basically an apocalyptic type of book that was written in 1948. Right now, people don't know that the original book was entitled 1948, and he was going to release it in 1948. But they realized, wait, we can't do that. If we release this book in 1948, then what's going to happen? People are going to bug out because they're going to think it's happening now, right? So what did we do? We changed the title to 1984, this apocalyptic type of thing into the world. We'll say, oh, it's going to happen it's going to be happening in 1984, some nearly 40 years later. So what does that do? That creates relief, because a person now doesn't think it's going to happen in their lifetime. If you're 50, 60 years old or 40 years old, you're going to be in your 80s, 90s, maybe 100, if here at all. So you're like, it's a relief. I ain't got to worry about that personally. So that you take your foot off the gas, right? You don't prepare for your children, though. You don't care for your grandchildren who will be here in 84. But that was the type of agitation propaganda that they put out there, is to get people to be afraid that something big is going to happen. And I'm going to tell you, honestly, I'm going to tell you, I could be wrong, and I don't mind being wrong. With this, I would love to not be proven wrong. When we talk about global white dependency and their constant surge to keep people afraid of a nuclear or something that's going to kill us, be it another virus or whatever it is going to be, right? Understand that if they were to kill everyone, and let's even be more direct, if they were to take out a lot of Black people, they will be inevitably killing themselves. And I got to believe that those elite white folk who have created sub-levels of people of other ethnicities. You know, some could be Boule, as we talked about in episode 2. Some could also be, by the way, we're talking about part 2 tomorrow. And then also, you know, other ethnicities. We got, you know, Asians, we got, you know, French, Latino. We got all these different types that are also involved in this. Is that I believe they're not that foolish to kill the world because they'd be killing themselves. And if they even got rid of all of the people that they wanted to control, then who would they have to control? They wouldn't be in power anymore. In order to be in power, you got to be in power over someone. So this kind of like empowers me to think, man, y'all saw The Wizard of Oz. Y'all saw that movie. And y'all know that Wiz was behind this so-called larger-than-life God. Here we go again. It does this every time, y'all. Hold on. Why does it do that? It does that every day. Come on, leave. It's I don't know why StreamYard does this. Every episode I've done, when I get to the hour mark, it just bugs out, yo. I don't know why it does that. I'm not sure why it's doing that. But anyway, apologies for the delay. Thank you for hanging on. But it's something I gotta figure out. It keeps doing that. Every episode I've done, a little bit past the hour or hour and a half mark, it frees me, and then I gotta restart it. So I gotta upload my slide where we were. So just hold tight. And we were on. Apologies for this. It is what it is, y'all. Right, we always say this. All right. Why do you keep going? Why are you only showing? Where's the rest of my slides? Okay. 18. Nope. Boom. Sorry, y'all. Just hold tight. Give it thanks. Take a drink of water or something while we get back on stage here. Okay. So we were talking about 1984, what happened, blah, blah, blah. We did that. All right. So why do you keep doing that? Why do you keep jumping back? Okay, apologies. Yeah, Boom doesn't really. Oh, Gerard says drop StreamYard. Come on. Wow, this thing is really bugging out. 1 second, y'all. Give thanks for your patience. It keeps popping back to the slide go to the slide I want. I guess maybe it's loading. Yeah, this thing is really slowing up tonight. Give thanks, y'all, for just holding on here. Sorry, the screen is just pop showing all these different. Let me come out of here so y'all not getting triggered by. Wow. Okay, let me just stop. Maybe I pressed too much stuff and it's trying to think. But nevertheless, while we're getting that together, we're seeing. Wow, please, y'all, don't mess my show up. Yo, I'm gonna laugh it off. I'm not even pressing anything, and these things are changing like it is, and I think that's because I was doing stuff earlier, so maybe it's trying to catch up. Maybe it's trying to catch up. All right. I can't even put up my banners. Yeah, Gerard said drop StreamYard, jump to Zoom. Give it thanks, Sister Ami, for saying you're good, no worries. She also said she likes Zoom as well. It's just a matter of trying to do it over different platforms because I'm on Facebook and YouTube at the moment. So I'm not sure that it actually offers that yet, if at all, or will be. I'm not sure. But okay, I think I can go now to where I wanted to go. So I was at slide. Boom. Here we go. All right, we're cooking with grease now. All right. So I'm basically speaking about how all of this is triggered by a system. And this system wants you to be in a mindset of thinking that you need them and that they are the solution for whenever you have issues, you come to them. You turn on the radio, you turn on the TV, they're going to tell you what to do. You have issues, health issues, financial issues, listen to them instead of figuring things out yourself. And all this is doing is based upon, at the preface is, when you're being conditioned, you are a prime candidate for a worker bee, whether you work for someone at a job or you're working their system, enabling it to stay sustainable. And the person behind all of this is good old John D. Rockefeller. We'll be talking about him a lot throughout the episodes because I keep finding him in everything. He literally exercised the 10 areas of people activity to the max. And he said himself that, the game uses the job market to make you worker bees, not thinkers, because he himself said, I do not want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. He wanted to rid you of your individuality, your ability to think for yourself and go after your own aspirations. No, he wants you to be a spoke in his will. And the best way to do that is to control the educational system, which we talked about in episode 1 while we are being programmed to be mediocre. If you haven't seen that, please go back and watch that. So all these things are tied in. Right? So this is when you start to learn this is systemically designed for you not to prosper. The way things are set up is for you not to prosper individually. It's made for you to be a spoke in their will, to keep their system going, for you to be a number, and for you to live a thankless life. Thinking that if I put away for the end, that I'll get all my rewards then. If you make it there, and then even when you get there, what you put away may not even be enough because inflation kicks in. Okay. And you can't blame them about it because you made your own decision. You didn't decide to think for yourself. You decided to let us program you. Okay. So with that said, you got to think about this now. There's a lot of stuff that plays into this. How do we fall into these type of this mentality, this psychosis, right? How do we fall into that? Well, if you think about it, we are responsible for really wasting a lot of our time. Now, this is where we point the finger not at them. Well, we point the finger at them, but the 3 are pointing back at us. Okay. Because they say when you point a finger at somebody, you got 3 pointing right back at you, right? The real issue is that those 3 fingers now, we're looking at the fingers, we're pointing at them, but those 3 that are pointing back at us is the one I want to talk about right now. We surrender our best hours after work. So understand, you got to make your coins, do what's necessary, go out there and get your job, do your work, do what's necessary. But it's what you do after, in between checking out and checking in the next day, clocking in and clocking out the next day, is what we are wasting. On average, a person, whether they be in school or where they're working, when they get off work, they're going to average 4 to 6 hours of wasted time between the time they get off until they go in the next morning. right? And so when you start doing calculations of that time, you got to think about how much that is. So that roughly comes to about 42 hours a week, about 160 hours a month if you're wasting 6 hours a day. And that's roughly 2,016 hours for the year. So when we talk about what is the hour amount that you need to attain to become a master of something, we know that number is 10,000. So when you've done something for 10,000 hours, you are a master at it, right? So if we're wasting 2,000 hours a year, roughly, within 5 years, we have become masters of wasting time, right? And a lot of us have been doing this for more than 5 years. We've been doing this probably our whole adult lives, 15, 20, 30, 40 years. So what does that make you? That makes you not only a master, that makes you a PhD, a doctorate, level, the highest level that you could be, because we are so good at wasting time. And yet at the same time, we have the audacity to complain that things that we don't have. So when we look at the situation, there is a mindset that is shared. Now, Sister Ami said this is where traditional spirituality comes in at. Our African traditions provide all the answers we need. We have the ability, when it is in a purified state, to communicate directly with them and get solutions. Yes, absolutely. We need to go in. But we also need to look at those that have created this situation. You know what I mean? Because it's one thing, if you don't know that you're sick, what you're sick of, then you don't know how to cure it. So that's why we're talking about this therapy session, is talking about who are the people behind embedded this in our heads, right? So rich people have this saying, it's called a 5-hour rule. And they're saying is if you're not spending 5 hours a week learning, then you're being irresponsible. 5 hours a week learning about, specifically, I would say even finances, you're being irresponsible. Okay. So the purpose of life here is, we're thinking you're here today, gone tomorrow. The unexpected can happen today. What is your contingency plan? We need to create a 1, 5, 10, and 20-year plan that includes death. We don't think about that. What do you want to achieve in this life? How will your last day be? What are your last wishes? What do you want to happen after you transition? And what will you leave your loved ones? Remember, if you don't design a plan for yourself, a plan is already set up for you. Okay? It's already made for you. Okay? So why I feel we need financial literacy, therapy rather, is because financial therapy, there's a difference. A financial planner is essential, but understand that a financial planner is only going to manage your finances. He's going to plan and invest your finances. He's going to do your retirement estate planning. But in the end, they are a salesman, not vested in your well-being, but theirs. They get paid off a commission, right? So they receive percentages off of the dividends from your profits. So their motivation is to make you successful so that it makes them successful, right? So they have to make money off of you, right? So it isn't genuine. But as a financial therapist, my entry is to help you face the origin of your relationships with money before we go to the financial planner, and then expose you to the systemic connection, and then to prepare you to become your own planner. You might not even need a financial planner. You can do all this stuff yourself and not have to worry about being consulted and then paying for it, right? So why I think we all need financial therapy and may not know it is because we're stressed with thoughts of, do I have enough? I hope they don't raise my rent, or the anxiety of realizing you have 20 plus more years to pay the bank off until you're on your home, but you have just heard there are going to be layoffs around Christmas, right? And the American dream is to own a house. But what we don't realize is that when we set up a mortgage agreement with the bank, 15 to 30 years, we are promising them that we're going to pay them for that amount of time every month. For 15 years or 30 years, I'm going to pay you every month. The moment I get 90 days delinquent, the bank says, I'll come and take what you got. So you could be in your 29th year and in your 12th month, but you were 3 months behind. You didn't make a payment for 90 days, and they will take your house from you. And you've been paying it off, and you only had one more payment to make, but you were delinquent, or rather 4 more payments to make. You were delinquent, so they took your house, and now you're living on the street, right? What we don't understand is when we're making that agreement with the bank for 15 to 30 years, we are making a promise that is we really can't guarantee, because when you sign up for a job, does your job give you a contract for 15 to 30 years? No. Tell me what job says I'll employ you for 15 years or for 30 years and I'll apply, right? There is no guarantee. Tenure is gone. So what that means is if you lose, and you will lose your job, the average person loses the job every, 4.2 years. Average American loses their job every 4.2 years. So out of those 30 years of a mortgage, you're going to have 7 different jobs to pay off that house, unless you're doing additional jobs, second and third jobs. Okay. So this is the thing that we don't get a chance to really talk about, is because we're making promises on something and we fully can't deliver on it. All right. So our relationship, again, we have these fears. Again, we buy a house, we're afraid, oh, now I got to make a payment for 30 years. Oh my God, I got a car loan, I got to pay it for 6 years. I hope I keep my job. I hate my job, but at least I got one. We're going through those things, that psychosis, that stress, that daily fight of trying to adult in this world, right? Because everything is based upon the person that is paying us to enable us to have any type of sustainability or illusion of it. So what this does is creates a fear. And this fear, again, me and being a lover of acronyms, came up with fear means funds exhausted, awards restrictions. So when you don't have any money, you're rewarded with window shopping. Oh man, I would love to get that, but I ain't got the money. Oh, I wish I could do this, but I guess I gotta wait till I get it. Save my nickels and dimes, my grandmother used to always say. So the point is that fear becomes, if not pockets of your adulthood, it could be your entire adulthood where you just never have. And you're always broke and you're trying to make it every month. Right. And that creates a sense of stress, anxiety, anger, disappointment, and resentment to other folks that are doing well. Right. So that's why I think financial therapy is so important, because financial therapy allows us to look deeply at how we think, feel, communicate, and behave differently with money to improve our overall well-being. We need to sit on the couch and talk about what money is about. And when done so, if it's done properly, then fear can be changed to finances explain age resilience. If you learn about finances, right, you're going to be resilient. You're going to be able to resolve all your issues. You're going to be able to live the life that you are destined to live. Money's not going to be a problem, or no, money's not going to be as big a problem. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing that that we are not being exposed to, and I think it's very important we talk about it. So we're going to talk about a little bit about it right now. Money as a tool. Money is something that I think is vital. We never seen it as a tool. We saw it as a means, just a means to an end. I work for it. I use it to buy the things I need, right? It's currency. It's electricity. We use it to get something for it, right? We don't really get to hold on to it. It's an exchange, right? We spend a lot of time working for it. And we forget that it's just a tool to help us to reach a vision. Really. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to give you my story real quickly, what happened to me, how I came in this mindset, because it really is, for me, it shaped who I am now. Everything from crypto woke movement to even WTF podcast show is because of what happened to me. March 13, 2017, working for the National Basketball Association for 12 years. I had just come back from a business trip from Costa Rica, and I had a gut feeling while I was on the plane that something was about to happen. So I got back on a Sunday, went to work on a Tuesday, March 13th, and it's after lunch, and I get a phone call. My phone rings. It's my manager, and he says, "Hey, can you come down to HR?" And it was one of those, okay, something feels funny. But I went ahead and walked down to HR, and as I'm walking down 3 floors, when I get on the floor that the HR is on, I notice some brothers that are security. And this is in Manhattan, on Fifth Ave, right? And so I know the security that works for the NBA, and I know them by name. You know what I mean? I'm getting off the floor, and I'm seeing them strategically positioned at the exit doors. And I'm like, "Yo, what's up? Peace." They're like, "Yeah, what's up, yo?" Da, da, da. And they kind of gave me a look like, I don't know, like watch your back kind of feeling. I already felt it coming down. My spidey sense was already tingling. I knew something was up. So as I'm walking down, I'm just thinking, wow, something's about to go down, right? Because why are three of you guys on this floor, 3 positions down the hallway that I'm walking to? So when I walk into the room, my manager's sitting there and he's looking puzzled, like he's looking bewildered, like he doesn't know what's going on. Like he looks like WTF, what the fuck, right? So there's a white woman who's HR, and she's sitting there, and I come in. He's to my left, she's to my right. It's a circular table, so I sit in between them. I go sit down, and no sooner than I sat down, she blurts out, "Are you affiliated with something called Dagato Times?" I said, "Oh yeah." She said, "Oh, are you also affiliated with something called Black Land Matters?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely. Those are 2, business ventures of mine." And it's like, "Oh," and she had this folder, this binder, and it was pretty thick. And so I'm like, "Okay, I see where this is going." And I look at my manager, right? And he doesn't look me in the eye. He looks down, and he's looking again like puzzled. And I don't know if he was either mad at me or he was like shocked as well. I don't know. But at that point, I knew what was going on. They were about to fire me. So I'm sitting there like, okay, so she's asking me, these questions, and she's very, like she's a damn lawyer. Like she's for the record, just really trying to like be all like get some bells and whistles to impress nobody. And so she says, well, we find that your writings are racial, prejudice, and we feel that you are basically I'm a problem working at the NBA, and they don't want me to. And they said we're going to render your services. We're going to expel your services immediately. And their reason is because of what I write on social media. And I noticed when she was pulling out my resignation papers, she lifted up the folder, and I saw she had printed out covers of my book, Analytical. I hadn't written Boule yet, so she got articles that I've written on the Ghetto Times that I've written. I've been writing the Ghetto Times since 1991. I'm sorry, 1993. So she's pulling out, like, I guess she was going to, like, if I denied it, be like, bam, like, this isn't you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, again, this lawyer type shit. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I was like, she's like, well, we think what you're writing is you're racial, you're very racist, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I'm not even going to get an argument with this white woman. And I was getting ready to get up, and they said that, I was fired. I was like, cool, I'm getting up to leave. She said, no, wait, we need you to sign something. So they needed to sign these papers or whatever to, resolve my working there, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. So I filled out whatever paperwork she wanted me to fill out. And she told my manager to go and retrieve my things. So she wouldn't even let me go get it. He had to go and get my stuff, and then they mailed me the rest of my stuff. Now, immediately I was upset because I'm like, oh shit, I lost my job. Again, what do you do when you show up to work on a Monday and you're being let go? No notice. So now I'm standing outside on Fifth Ave, and I'm like, whoa, I just lost my job. I've never been, let go before. And I was upset because I'm like, well, I'm gonna call the EEOC, and this is discriminatory, which I could have done. But then something kicked me. And I remembered the flight when I was flying back from Costa Rica. They were saying, hey, it's time for you to do better things. So I took that notion and decided that I was going to now pursue something different. Had no idea what it was going to be. So what I decided was I had money in my 401k. I was going to go ahead and pull out a few stacks to just hold me over for about a month, or two, just to get my mind right and think about what I'm going to do, because I had no idea what I was going to do. I just got kicked off a corporate plantation, y'all. So I'm like, part of me is happy, a large part of me is happy, but then there's that fear of, okay, now they're not going to be paying me no more. So how am I going to be able to feed my family, right? So now I have set up a meeting with Fidelity, which is where I had my 401k through. And I met this young white guy, and he happened to attend, he was alumni of the same college I went to. University of Pittsburgh. So he saw that and he's like, oh man, dude, like, da, da, da. So we start just chopping it up about everything. And he pulled me to the side and said, you know what, I'm going to share some things with you that I usually don't share with people. I'm like, oh, word, okay, cool. I didn't know what he's going to talk about. He started telling me about finances, telling me about how, how recessions are planned. He talked about how he showed me how insurance companies make money off and banking companies, gave me inspiration to look into how banking companies make money off of your money, etc. So I'm like, wow, this dude is telling me this. And I'm like, why is he telling me this? And I'm like, because it's your destiny, right? And I'm like, okay, he messing up because I'm gonna take this information because I'm one to tell our people what's going on. So I'm like, you messing up because I'm gonna take this information and bring it home, right? So he inspired me to look into, for the first time in my life, to look into finances. They were shooketh. Exactly. Right. So I decided I was going to study finances. And that got me to reading about finances, learning about sustainability, learning whatever I get my hands on about finances. And then I started realizing, man, we have been lied to. So my goal was to then take this information that I learned and bring it back to us. And that's what enabled me to create the Crypto Woke Financial Sustainability Movement. And I realized that losing my job, that I was not, there's nothing authentic about me. I'm just like anyone else. And I realized that no employer is obligated to pay you for life. One day it will happen to you. You will be let go, laid off, or if you're lucky, you'll retire. But at that point, that's when they're going to stop paying you. You're still going to live on though, right? You're still going to have bills due every 30 days. It's no matter. The point is that your source to cover that cost is going to be cut. And you have to prepare yourself for that, because if you don't, then you're going to be in bad situations, right? So what happened to me will happen to you. Question is, are you prepared? Because I wasn't. So my goal is to make you aware of this, that your day of your last job is coming, and that you might have to find another job, another plantation. Nevertheless, that day will has an expiration date too, and they're not going to tell you when. So the older you get, the more jobs you may have to try to find. And we're going to talk about in a second about the availability of those jobs, because it's very small, right? So poverty is etymologically, assigned to Black folk. People of African descent in the United States have been at the bottom as producers while being at the top as consumers. Our nation's wealth, we had 0% or 0.5% when we were freed as slaves. But in 2024, we only have 1%. So we've only gained 0.5% of power of the nation's wealth in over 160 years. We have a $1 trillion robust purchasing power, but most of that money goes to 99% consumerism. A lot of the stuff we buy isn't Black owned. It goes to other companies that are other ethnicities. Only 1% of us are producing things. Robert Weems said that the truly free people possesses the power to produce as well as consume. Right. So this is what we're talking about. Leakage. We can talk about leakage and how leakage is something that in our communities, the dollar stays in our communities 6 hours because there are no Black businesses for it to go to. Whereas if you go to Asian communities, it stays in there as many as 30 days because they have a nail salon, they have a Chinese restaurant, they have a cleaners. In fact, they have those very same things in our communities. So they're taking our money. We're giving them those money, and they're taking that money out of our community and putting it in theirs. All right. So with that said, the job market is mainly increasing. We're seeing that the world is changing in ways we've never seen. We're starting to see that higher cost, gentrification, quality of jobs, the type of jobs that are created are not full-time. Most of them are part-time, and companies are not going to pay benefits. It's on you to cover it. And we're finding that more and more people are needing more and more work. We're finding also that when you look at this stat here, that the average American works 34.5 hours a week, not 40 hours. So that's telling you right there they're not full-time. When you're full-time, a company has to pay benefits. So companies are not paying you full-time by cutting your hours under 40 hours And the employment rate of those people that are working 34 hours is over 60%. So every 6 out of 10 people working is not full-time, although they might call it that, but they're only working 34 to less than at least 40 hours a week, which enables companies to not have to pay insurance. And who's covering it? We are. We also see in August of 2022 that 315,000 jobs were created due to $39 billion in chips and scientific and the Chips and Scientific Act. But most of those jobs that were created were automated. So automation is really going to also cut into that $1.6 trillion purchasing power that we currently have. All right. So we're seeing that the job market, again, is diminishingly increasing. No employers are obligated to pay you for the rest of your life. Eventually, you will be laid off or a victim of downsizing or fired. The older you get, the closer you are to losing that job. Companies are downsizing and outsourcing for cheaper labor, and tenure no longer holds weight. But all the while, every 30 days, your bills are due. The phone company don't care about you losing your job. They know that your bill is due on the 16th. Can you pay it? And if not, then we're going to cut it off by the 30th. Okay. Global job loss continues to rise. When we see the amount of Fortune 500 companies laying off people in the tens of thousands, that's letting you know the indicator that there's just not enough work to go around. There's not enough work to go around, or the working man or woman is being changed. Found this stat in March of last year that although 8 million jobs were created, by the end of the month, a total of 7.1 of them were lost. So they only had a plus of 976,000 jobs for the first quarter of the year, which is on pace to 2 million jobs per year that America creates. So we're seeing that there's just not enough jobs going around for people to even. So when I lost my job, trying to find another job, it's slim to none. It's not to say be lazy, don't find jobs, but I get it when brothers say, ain't no work out there for me. I mean, there is, minimal, but is it going to allow you to live? I mean, that's a whole other discussion. But I do want to talk about the fact that we're seeing how the job market is being shifted. It's being shifted to automation. And automation is going to be, if we talk about we're stressed now, the therapy that we need now is going to become even more, because we are facing something that we never thought we would see in our lifetime. Y'all watched the Jetsons art cartoon. Y'all remember them cartoons that came out where we saw, all this computers and doing stuff for us? Well, we're in this age now. You've seen it when you're on the highway and you're going through a toll. There used to be people there that would take that money from you as you paid your toll. If you're going through the Holland Tunnel, they're going to take $6 from you, right? Now, all the people are gone. It's nothing but cameras. The cameras will take a picture. Either you got an easy pass on top and it gets deducted from your account, or you're going to receive a bill in the mail if you don't have an easy pass. We go into Walmart and we got, if you go to Walmart or any other place that has self-checkout, you're seeing more and more now, more self-checkout kiosks than you are seeing actually people there scanning your goods. Because if you think about it, the employer decided it saves him money to not have someone sitting there scanning your goods, because I gotta pay them for their time there, vacation, etc. Why not make the consumer do the work? Why not make you bag your own groceries, and I can save a whole hell of a lot of money? We go into the banking systems and we don't even see tellers anymore. All of the windows that used to be in tellers are now boarded up with advertisement and these big old kiosks where you put your money in and get transition. And we think, a transaction in within seconds. And we do like the fact that it's expedited. Things are quickly, we can go in there and get out. But at what cost is it happening? Someone's losing their job. This person now has to find work in a totally different space. If you used to take money from people at the tolls, now you got to find something totally different. And you could be in your 40s or 50s and having to do this thing now. So this is another clip that I want to show you that is showing you how really crazy this stuff is getting, y'all. Becoming automated rather. Self-driving cars and trucks in 5 to 10 years will eliminate taxi drivers. 40% of malls will go out of business. Thanks to Amazon, 2.5 million calls or centers are being replaced. ChatGPT is going to even put teachers out of work. Hundreds of millions of workers will be jobless. How will they pay for their bills? Now I want to play some clips here just to let you understand how big AI is and what it's doing to shift things in this world. I see that. It's frowned at him. And then move the hand away. I want you to see how, look at the face. Look at her face. She looks pissed. I'm saying she. It's a robot, y'all. And this is the other thing. Let me play this again. Why is the robot blinking? Let me go back. The robot is blinking its eyes. Look. It's blinking. As though it has water in its eyes. That it needs to wet the eyes so it don't dry up. How humanistic. And then it has, hey Tanya, greetings to my old track teammate from college. Greetings. Thank you for tuning in. So we see this robot then frowns, like get your finger out off my nose, and goes to grab it and pull it away. But watch how her face changes afterwards. Oh, I gotta remember I'm a robot. I can't take over yet. Oops. Let me be nice again. Okay. You see this stuff happening, y'all. This is the real life. These are going to be our maids. This is going to be, what was her name? Rose in the Jetsons. That's going to be Rose. You know, and she's going to have attitude because, you know, people are going to be abusing these robots. Check this out. If you're a valet driver. This is going to put valet drivers out of work. So I'm playing these because I want you to understand how what we're facing here is automation with AI is taking over. You can go into Amazon Go in Manhattan and walk in, pick up something that you want to eat and walk right out, and you won't be charged. Well, you are charged. You don't have to sit you don't have to go to a kiosk or go to a person because you used your phone to get in, so it's going to deduct it. Cameras are all over the place watching what you got, scanning it, so you know you're being monitored, right? So now that, you know, again, they're watching every move, everything you're doing. You have no privacy. You know what I'm saying? But we want convenience. We're willing to give up privacy for convenience, and they've seduced us into thinking that that's cool, that we've accepted that without question. Okay, so these are the type of jobs that these robots are going to be coming after. So this puts in jeopardy our spending power is in jeopardy. Currently, we have $1.6 trillion, but it will be reduced to zero when we realize a lot of the jobs that are taking over are jobs that we have. All right, someone has to fix these machines when they break, program them, etc. Right? Initially, but robots will be able to repair themselves eventually. I absolutely believe that. I absolutely believe that. If you do some research in robotics, you can look up companies like, well, even Hyundai. Remember the early Hyundais, how that car used to be like, oh, who would want to be seen in the Hyundai? But look at them now, because they bought Boston Dynamics. And Boston Dynamics are responsible for, you've probably seen some of those robotic dogs. They call it robot dog. I forgot what it's called. But basically they use these dogs. Well, they're robots on all fours that look like dogs. And they go and patrol areas. The police in New York had actually, a few years back, I think it was 2018, they had a pilot program in the Bronx. And there was a big fuss about it. So they closed the program. But then Mayor Adams brought it back last year. So they now going to have robots patrolling the streets. And all you need to do on this robot is put a gun on its shoulder. Now it's armed. Trust me, it's military based. It's definitely military based. I can show you videos. You can look it up yourself if you want to. And you can find there are robots that are being programmed. Y'all saw the movie I, Robot? And if you haven't, go see it. Because these are the things that are not only militarizing the robotic program, but again, these robots are going to be doing the jobs that we do. And so that's going to eliminate our ability to be able to create income. All right, so let me do a spin here. We're talking about what we're afraid to talk about is the money issue and everything concerning around it. Because it's taboo in our communities, we're afraid to talk about it. We have countless get-togethers, but never really talk about getting together. We gonna have a cookout, and we're gonna fry some chicken, and we're gonna barbecue some ribs, but we're not gonna talk about family wealth building, because when we talk about money, it's gonna get down to, first, people are too afraid to talk about how broke they are, or you're gonna talk about that cousin that stole some money from you or borrowed money and never paid you back, right? And then it turns into a fight. So this is all, again, from a therapeutic perspective, I see this as psychosomatics. We are under this spell. And when you look up the definition of psychosomatics, somatics, I'm trying to blow up the screen here. Here we go. Is the study of linguistic meaning. It examines what meaning is, how words get their meanings, and how the meaning of a complex expression depends on its parts. So we're talking about word semantics, language, right? Psychosomatics explores the relationship between common sense, psychological theories, and problems that are central to the semantics and the philosophy of language. So this is a lot of garbage jargon, right? It's basically saying that this is how, when they speak things to you and program you to think the way they want you to think. And how they do that is they'll show you examples of it all. When I talked about, again, agitation propaganda, if they show everybody else doing this thing, then you're going to do it too, because you're not going to go against the norm, because you'll feel like you're ostracized. We haven't been programmed to do things by ourselves. We don't know how to do things by ourselves. So we feel like it's better to just do what everybody else is doing and don't question, no cause, ways and ripple in the water. So with that, we have learned that, I think it's more important that what's more important than learning to read is actually reading to learn. A lot of us, we are programmed to just take in information, but we don't know how to dissect and break down what they're saying to us and what's the motive behind it. And all that starts from us programming being in the educational system. We were put in school. We were put in those cubicles. They had to be quiet and listen to someone talking to you, and you couldn't ask a question, and you couldn't challenge them, and you had to get graded on it to see if you could have memory retention, right? So this is the kind of world that we've evolved in. And if you need an example, if you want to think, no, not me, I'll give you an example. Financial literacy is not a topic in our communities. Instead, it's based upon how much education you have. So let's talk about this example. Another rhetorical question for you. What is the strangest thing you've done for money? All right. The strangest thing that most people have done for money is they took out a loan to go to school so they could get a job to pay off the school loans. Think about that. You went to school to get a job. Or I'm sorry, you went to school so you hope that you can get a job so you can pay off that school loan. The only problem is the job was never delivered. The educational system isn't designed to free you. We spend our entire lives looking for someone to hire us to survive. We need validation in dollars from someone else in order to survive. And that all pulls out the moniker, when you allow someone to feed you, they can also starve you. And we're seeing that more and more now. Now, I'm hoping that this is an ego check. I'm hoping that you don't take it personally. I do want you to take it personally, but don't be offended, because, again, we're part of this system. It's systemic. We've been designed. It's been embedded in our mindset to think this way. And this is why I want you to understand this. This is a matrix mindset that we can wake up out of. And sometimes to wake up out of it, you got to face what the issue is at first. So I'm hoping that you don't become emotionally offended, because basically people with degrees are the most programmed for direction. We're the most to ask for permission than to go ahead and do it and ask for permission later. We're trained and told what to do. We're the best at that. We're trained how to think, how to execute. We're taught how to not learn on your own and learn from our own mistakes. We're supposed to follow this plan and don't deviate. We're conditioned to follow the plans of someone above you. Okay? Whatever they say is golden. And most is done with compound interest and debt when you get your degree. So we've been sold this lie that when we get a diploma and college and a degree, we are supposed to get a job, a house, car, and family, and get those traditional things like, 401ks and CDs and bonds, and then you retire, you live life happily ever, but they never tell you how you're going to pay for this. And they will educate, the educational system purposely doesn't teach you this because they understand this is how we create you as the spoken at will. More certifications creates more debt. If you have more debt, you're going to stay in the system, the rat race psychosis. You're going to keep looking for work for someone. You're not going to ever work for yourself because you're trying to pay off this debt. This forces you to become a worker bee. Okay? So we go to school for money first, career second. And we're taught to study occupations instead of money. So make that make sense. So we go to school because we want to make money, and we'll pick a career based upon that money. But then we're taught to study occupations. When we go to college, we're taught to study occupations and don't know what they're going to pay you. Found out that people that have liberal art degrees, they're the lowest paid. But those are the most degrees that people are giving out every year, the liberal art degrees. But you get the lowest pay. So we're conditioned to think jobs are the only way to create income, which again creates that corporate worker bee soldier, working for money instead of money working for us. We're told if you get that degree, that you're going to climb the ladder of success because all we're chasing is that bag. In the end, that's what we're all chasing. Whether you get a degree or not, you're trying to make money. The reality is if you go this route, in most cases, if you don't have a scholarship, you're going to come out in debt, right? You're going to have less money available, so you're going to have to take any job to survive because those loans are kicking in as well, and that's going to compound the interest on the debt that's owed. Okay, this is the reality that we're facing, and we've been told these things, but the reality is that people owe more in their student loans than ever before. It's quadrupled since the year 2000, and most of us can't find work in that degree, and it puts our golden years in peril. Student loans have delayed the wealth building streams of many educated poets. With a BA has a median net worth of only 2/3 of a white person with no bachelor's degree. So we go and get certified, and we come out looking for work, and a person that is a Caucasian will get the job and don't even have to have a college degree and make more than us. Because who are we going to get to work from? We're trying to work from people that don't look like us. So of course, there's going to be, some favoritism amongst themselves. Okay. Here's the other startling stat that we don't really talk about. Every year, graduation season is upon us, right? Next month. So we're going to have roughly 3.5 million high school graduates. All right. And we're also going to have 5 million collegiate graduates. So that's 8.5 million students. And I would say of the high school students, most of them will probably go to college, but a percentage, not most, a percentage. I'll even say less than half, but percentage of them are going to go to college. The rest of them are going to go try to find work. The college students most of them are going to go into the work field as well. So we're looking at roughly 8.5 million college graduates. And on a good year, America produces 2 million jobs on a good year, 2 million jobs available. So you got 8.5 million people going for 2 million jobs. That means 1 out of 4 people are going to get a job, right? Slim pickings. And we didn't even factor in that there are people that are already in the workspace that got laid off or need a second job that are also vying for those same jobs. Okay, so we have to understand that it's strategically made to make it so that we are not going to prosper. It's designed that way. Okay, so this is what is really something that I really want you to understand is the way things are set up for us is to lose. Sister Amy says that liberal arts degree I found is one of the prerequisites to get into some of these societies. That could be the one reason why it's one of the top degrees to get. Right. So again, there's a step. Come on. why is this thing really, yeah, trying to take away something here and it won't do it. Okay. Yeah, I might have to have some issues with this because I gotta stream y'all. I'm paying y'all for this. All right, let's see what's going on here. There we go. Good evening, Sister Tamara. Give thanks for coming in. Appreciate you. So I just want to point out that we have been told that, you know, as Black people, we're very creative, and we are we can resolve through a lot of things. You know, we can fight through a lot of things. We've always been good at that. And so there's that saying that what happens when they gave us lemons, we did what? We made lemonade, right? We know what struggle is. So when they gave us the lemons, we made lemonade. But I think we now need to move to another level of understanding with this analogy. Is when you have lemonade, understand that you had that lemonade because someone gave you a lemon. We need to understand that we need to harvest the seed in that lemon and create our own lemonade by cultivating a lemon into a lemon tree. And then we won't need them anymore because we'll have our own lemons growing from our own lemon trees. That's something that, we really need to think about as far as how we have been programmed to think that we can only get from them. And when that's done, when that's said, that we are totally dependent upon their society, and we need to learn how to break away from that. Okay. So why to spend more money than we make? We make up over 40% of MasterCard holders. Many seldom have the money to pay the balance in full at the end of the month, whereas Asian Americans have an average of more than 3+ credit cards. We have one, mainly because we have lower scores and we're credit invisible because we don't know about the credit game. We don't know how to use and build wealth from that. There's intergenerational obstacles that we have. We don't plan for transition. Our beneficiaries inherit memories and debt. Lack of estate planning, fuel gentrification. You know, we talk about how did white folk come in to take over Brooklyn, how they take over Harlem, how they take over Chocolate City, because the kids were not taught the importance of holding on to that house. And someone came in there and put $50,000 on the table, and we ran with it, opposed to thinking that this house is worth, 1.5. Because we didn't understand the importance of holding on to what we had, land. The average American dies with over $70,000 in debt. 75% die with outstanding debt. 60% are credit cards. 30% is mortgage. 10% is auto, personal, and student loans. So then, even when you work hard to try to, have this day when you're going to be able to retire, when you reach the retirement age, you have all these debts to pay off still, and your income source has been cut. So now it's eating into your retirement. But here's the key thing, and we got about 15 more minutes here, y'all. For y'all hanging on tonight, I really appreciate it. This is the very important part I want to get into here. How banks need us more than we do need them, right? Wells Fargo said this: banking is necessary, banks are not. And this is the one thing that we have to really understand, how the banking system was designed to keep us dependent upon them. And they convinced us through agitation propaganda. Arbitrage is a term that we should get familiar with. With arbitrage, we understand that is the practice of basically using a system to their advantage, and they'll only use it for themselves. So if there's a clique of people that want to take advantage of the laws or something like that, they're going to do that. This is what we're seeing here is arbitrage is a plan that's been put in place. Sorry, 1 second here. Okay. And we're finding this practice is huge, right? Banking's they're the master of using arbitrage. Okay. They offer us less than 2% of savings, and they make 5+ figure dividend profits off of our investments or our deposits. The truth is, America owes over $1.56 trillion in student loan debt. That's over $500 billion more than a credit card debt. And is spread out among 45 million borrowers. These are the banks. So these banks are going to buy your debts because they make money off you. So you get these people that call in and talk about, hey, we can help you, with some debt relief. They are buying your debt, but then you're indebted to them, and the interest rate is going to be paying them. Okay. This is a way that they trade and they make money. They understand to prey on people that need these funds. They're giving them relief, but they're actually putting a hook in your back. Right. So what do banks do with your money is the really biggest thing that I want to talk about. What banks do with our money is, number one, banking is the most important business in the world. Okay, it is the most important in the world. Without it, everything will come to a screeching halt. If you couldn't pull money out of your or pay a bill, or if companies couldn't, provide a service that costs money, we would see the world just going paranoid. It'd be crazy, right? So a banker cannot make a loan unless he has a deposit. Got to think about this, reverse engineer it. Banks only make money can only be profitable if they convince you to give them your money, right? So banks do not lend their money, they lend the money you deposit. The bank isn't going to sit here and pull out from their savings and give it to someone. They're going to take the money that you give them, and they're going to charge you for holding it for them, and then also get a profit from the person that they lend the money to. Right? This is basically how we see this was cemented when we came out with the direct deposit that started in 1999. Before then, banks had to wait for people to bring in their paychecks. The paper paychecks. If they got paid on a Friday, they might bring it in Friday night, lunchtime, Saturday, or even Monday. So the banks had to wait for you to bring in your paper check in order for them to take that money and then loan it out to someone else and get an interest rate on it. But when 1999, the direct deposit came on the set, that basically enabled them to now not have to wait, because they know if you get paid on a Thursday, Wednesday night, that money is coming in. That means Thursday morning we can do business with whoever we want. We don't have to wait for you to walk in. Now, we took it as a convenience, and it is to a degree, but it's more convenient for them. Why? Because when you think about this, we talk about the fractional reserve lending system. The fractional reserve lending system is something that a lot of us are not aware of. Yes, Brother Gerard, technology does come with a price, right? So when we look at how this works, we look at the fractional reserve lending system. And this is a system that has been in place for a very long time and has been very profitable for them in doing so. So what happens here is that when you bring in a deposit, and again, it's now direct deposit, so you don't have to walk it in yourself. For every dollar that is deposited into the bank, that amount gets 10x for the bank. So if you deposit $1, it becomes $10 for the bank. Okay. Now, if you are, for instance, and let's be more practical here, and we have a situation where you are getting paid $1,400, every other week at your job, that $1,400 is 10x for the bank. So that becomes now 14 grand. Now, the bank has to honor the $1,400 you put in there, so they subtract that, so that leaves them with $12,600. That $12,000 they use to now give as a loan to anyone that wants a loan, be it a mortgage loan, credit card loan, personal loan, student loan, whatever it is. And with that loan, when you take out a loan, that means you're paying it off over time, that there's interest rates attached to it. So not only you got to pay back the loan, but you also got to pay back the interest as long as it takes for you to pay back that loan. So if you get a car and it's a 60-month lease or a 60-month loan, then that's 60 payments plus the interest on 60 of those payments. That's free money for the bank. Now, you would think that money, some of that will come back to you, right? Because imagine if we went to Las Vegas and we took a trip to Las Vegas, and you happened to show up and you lost your money, and you asked me to flip you $100 so you can pull some slot machines, and I do it, and you turn that 100 to 1,000. Should I feel a certain kind of way if you don't give me back at least my $100 that I seeded you with? You can at least walk away with 900. You kept the entire 1,000. You didn't even give me back $100. That's what the bank do. The bank, they don't even thank us for those deposits. They keep the money. We get no return, zero return on the investment that they could not have made unless we put money in there in the first place. That is called the fractional reserve lending system. They 10x every deposit, and they keep the entire proceeds for themselves and will charge you even a monthly fee if you don't have a certain amount of money in your checking or savings account. So, and yes, Sister Ami says that they make it hard to get loans. Absolutely. There's definitely racism in that. There's studies that show that a black person with the same credit score as a white person will get, if they get the loan, their interest rate is going to be higher simply because of their pigmentation. So racism is still in banking. Now we talk about agitation propaganda. How do they get us to convince us to do these things? This is what's really, really deep. I want you to understand how when you understand, when you start rethinking and unlearning, as I talked about last week, unlearning, when you start to unpackage what you've been taught and then start to think for yourself, this is how they get us. And now when you know this, you won't fall for their tricks anymore. So think about this here. Look at this advertisement that you've probably seen in your mailbox or in your email box. It says here, you'll see here, earn a $500 cash bonus on qualifying balances, right? Like, word, I could do extra $500. So what do I got to do? Point two, it says here, you got to give us $50,000 or more within 10 days. Doesn't that sound like a stick up? I mean, it sounds like they're sit up here saying, look, give me your money. So you got to give me $50,000 in 10 days, right? And when you give me that $50,000, you have to keep it in your account for 90 days. Point three. Step three, you got to keep it there for 90 days. So I got to give you 50 grand, keep it in my account for 90 days. And then after the 91st day, I'll give you $500. Now, you got to think about this. If I got $50,000, I don't need 500, right? And let's point this out. That 50 grand that you give them, if you do this thing here, that 50 grand gets 10x for the bank. So what's 50 times 10? 50,000 times 10. That's $500,000. So now they have $500,000 and they got to deduct the 50 grand. So they got $450,000 from your $50,000 deposit that they now can use to give to anyone, any kind of loan, mortgage, as I mentioned, car loans, student loans, personal loans, etc. All are fixed with loans and interest rates that have to be paid back that they keep in their pocket. Okay. So understand that this is the game that is set up. So when you think about that, and you know this now, know that, again, why would I give you $50,000 for $500? Well, someone is doing it because we see these advertisements everywhere. Somebody's doing it. Why? Because what have we been convinced? They've convinced us, where's the best place to keep your money? In the bank. But if you got any grandparents still around, you can ask them. They didn't trust the banks. They kept money in their Folgers jar. They kept money in the freezer. They dug a hole in the backyard because they know about the bank runs. They know that banks back in the day had a very bad reputation, right? And Franklin Delano Roosevelt did a huge job with Woodrow Wilson to try to bring the confidence back in the banking system when we came up with the in 1934 with the Federal Reserve to win back the confidence by lies for people to invest in the banking system and let them think that the money is best and safest there. So that's why people will have $50,000 and won't keep it in their house. They'll put it in the bank because they figure it's better there and it's protected under, the FDIC. And after that FDIC, they'll guarantee my money up to $250,000. So we have this mentality of thinking it's safest there, when in all actuality, they're saying, yes, bring it here because we can now 10x it and make money off of yours and give you then maybe 2% if you have over $50,000. Well, in here it says in the bottom point that if you have a balance of $10,000 or more, they'll give you 2%. 2%. Now they 10x yours and they're going to give you less than 2%. Okay? This is the game that they're playing. Same here. Who are they targeting? They target a lot of people of color. You want to make $500, give us $300 for a checking account. You get another $200 for a savings account. And small print right there, you'll see. If you give us $200 for a savings account, you got to give us $20,000 and keep it there for 90 days. So again, every bank is doing this. Read the fine print. They're all saying the same thing. Give us this large amount of money, keep it in your account for this amount of time, and then we'll give you your little crumbs that you asked for or that we're offering you. right? Meanwhile, we've taken that money and flipped it 3, 4, 5 times by then. And we got 5 or 6 different people tethered to this amount in loans that are going to be paying us for years to come. This is the setup. So let's be more meticulous and look at, how rich are these banks? The largest banks in America in 2020, in the world, in 2023. You'll find that JP Morgan, Chase, Manhattan Bank has $3.3 trillion. Here we go with Rockefeller again, because Rockefeller created Chase and JP Morgan created JP Morgan. So we're seeing how, again, these folks that are using the 10 areas of people activity that I speak about have put these systems in place to allow themselves intergenerational wealth throughout their bloodlines. John Rockefeller was able to create the bank, Chase Manhattan Bank, through life insurance. He has he has today over 150 members of the Rockefeller family, and each of them have multiple permanent life insurance policies. He used that money to then create, they had so much money, they started to loan people out money. That's all a bank is when you have a certain amount of money, you want to loan people out money. But then they now convince people, no, I'm not going to loan my money. I'm going to get you to give me your money and I'll hold on to it and I'll loan out your money to someone else and make money off of that. And then even charge you for letting me hold your money. Yo, crazy. But again, we don't know these things, so we're not talking about we're not taught anything about finances. We don't have a clue how finances work. No one sits down and talks to us about these things. And that's why I felt it was important for me to do this for y'all. Just not for y'all, but for me and sharing it. Okay. So there's a book called Robber Barons. And when you look up the book Robber Barons, it talks about Rockefeller, Cornelius Vanderbilt, Andrew Carnegie, JP Morgan. If you don't get the book, you can look on the History Channel, The Men Who Built America. And it talks about these people who created the industrialization of the third industrialization. And we're talking about, how these systems were put in place and what they did to make it so that we are now spokes in the wheel for them unknowingly and needing drastic financial therapy because they understood if we take away finances as a discussion for them, but make them work for it, they'll be the perfect worker before us. They understood this plan. So now it's time for us to unlearn this and unravel this. So why is this relevant? If you signed up for the rat race, there is no sideline. And most of us say, I didn't sign up for the rat race, but you are in the rat race because you are working for someone and or your money is tethered to someone giving it to you in exchange for hours of work, right? There is no sideline. So you're not a spectator. You're either scoring or getting scored on. And we've been getting blown out generations. But that's all changing now. That's all about to change, okay? Understand this, that no matter how much education you have, these institutions will not teach you how to manage money. But if they did, they'd be rendered powerless, jeopardizing their bottom line, making money off your ignorance. We go to school, get all degrees. Now we got these loans up our ass. So we're like, I need a job, hire me. I did what you told me to do. I'll hire you, but I'm going to pay you a fraction of what you need, but I'm going to pay you just enough to show up every Monday. And then when I'm ready to let you go, I will let you go. You just have to find from someone else. This is the situation that we're living in. So how do we break out of this? Because there is victory in sight. We talked a little bit, explored about the issues that we're facing. I'd be remiss to not even talk about what plans that can be implemented to give us a better chance at life, right? Because we are the generation that's going to see these changes because we're in the information age. It starts with us. Now, whether you do it yourself, it will trickle down eventually, but I'm hoping that you are understanding the importance of what we discussed tonight that will inspire you to do some change in yourself because it can be done. I've been doing it for the last 7 years. And my goal is to tell more of us so that we can all do this as well. The bottom line is that we were not born to do this. This meme talks about how normal is getting dressed in clothes that you buy for work and driving through traffic in a car that you are still paying for. In order to get to the job, you need to pay for the clothes and the car and the house you leave vacant all day so you can afford to live in it. And this is rush hour. This is not what we were born to do, y'all. So that means we need to go through a process of breaking the chain. breaking the chain is essential. If we break the chain, we must first figure out how it was made. And we kind of discussed that tonight, right? Went through a little psychotherapy session about how things were made. Since arriving in this country, money has been used as a tool to shackle us mentally, physically, socially, and economically. So how do we break this chain is the goal here. Through the study of cryptic or hidden, because that's the etymology of the word cryptic, ways that it can free us financially. So I'm inviting you to join this movement that I'm a part of, the Crypto Wealth Financial Sustainability Movement. If you're like me, you're in search of financial security. You're looking for a reliable and sustainable savings plan. So if you have your phone, if you're not looking on your phone, I got some QR codes you can scan, or I'll put all the links in below so that you can get more information about what I have in store for us. Just to give you an idea, in my first 6 months of learning after, again, losing my job and studying finances and implementing what I learned in my first 6 months, I went from living off my saving investments after being fired and mapped out a living financial sustainable plan. I cleared $20,000 of debt and increased my credit limit $35,000. I raised my credit score more than 200 points. I lowered my credit utilization rate from 80% to 15%. I positioned myself to participate in business ventures we often dream of, including international business ventures and domestic foreign land assets. And then I created an intergenerational wealth plan for my bloodline 70 years into the future. This is what Rockefeller did. I can do it too, right? So this had to be shared with the demographic who need it most, Black people. So I created the Crypto Woke Financial Sustainability Movement. What is Crypto Woke? Crypto Woke is, my goal is to awaken people of African descent in the United States, again, POADAS, to cryptic or hidden money-making methods shared by wealthy families for over 200 years. The stuff I've learned, I got the blueprint, and I turned into a black print for us. Phase 1 is to get 3,000 families financially literate and onto the path of sustainability. 3,000 families. And then phase 2 is to move those 3,000 towards physical and virtual cooperative communities, creating intergenerational economic, ecological, and cultural resuscitation and preservation by way of joint ventures. So what am I saying? I'm basically saying that the goal is to get us all, imagine not just you having a 700 plus credit score and a 6-figure line of personal credit and business credit, but also to have your spouse, to have your 18 year and older children, your parents, your cousins. When we talk about family, so now we have these cookouts, we're having wealth building conversations. Then we're going to use this power to create the type of utopia communities that we look for, that we want, that we desire, that we can be off grid if we want to, that we can be global. We don't have to just live in America. You can live in America during the summer and in other spaces during other parts of the year. But these are opportunities that are available to us. It starts with becoming financially educated and then implementing what you've learned. Okay, so here are a couple things that I have offered to the community, to the family. With summer upon us, I have a program that is now available. We're going to start June 1st through August 2nd, August 3rd, bi-weekly, just 6 sessions bi-weekly, and hour-and-a-half sessions where we're doing 4 different types of workshops. I have 4 different types of workshops. The first workshop is a financial ed boot camp for adults aged 25 to 75. Okay, if you're 25 to 75, you can take the adult version of my boot camp masterclass of financial literacy. The second one is I have a boot camp for student athletes. If you are a student athlete, or if you're a parent of a student athlete and you think they have collegiate and or professional aspirations, or they might be recruited to play on the next level, with NIL deals amongst us, there's going to be a lot of money coming towards these students, these young folks. And most folks that do get to the next level will blow their rookie contract money within their second year. And the average person in the NBA is, I think, 3.5 years, and the NBA is 2.5 or 3 years. So you might make it to the majors or the NBA or the NFL, but you're not guaranteed to stay there. Everybody's not LeBron. But if you have an opportunity to get a signing bonus that is 6 figures or above, how can you use that money to position yourself to be sustainable throughout the rest of your life? Because you might be playing at 22 and retire at 24, but you're going to be living till you're 75, 80. So what are you going to do for the next 50 years? How can you take that initial money and put it into a space that can allow you to live off it, and then also create something for your bloodline also? The third class I have is for financial education for students ages 13 to 25. The student athlete is also for the age 13 to 25. So if you are a student and you're never too young to learn about finances, that's why I started as young as 13. I also will show you money methodology so that you will be prepared even before you turn 18 to be in a position to know how to budget, learning what to invest in, and also where to put your monies at, and also learn how to create money even at the age that you're at, and doing it legally. These are conversations that, again, we're not having, they're not being exposed to, that I want to bring to the community. And the last one is one of my favorite courses as well, is STEAM. I'm gonna have some sessions on STEAM. Actually, Thursday's podcast will be on STEAM, Introduction to STEAM. STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. But I also added some other things in there. We'll talk about it on Thursday. But I have a course called From Slave Ships to Steamships. And this is for all ages, 13 to 75. I think this is a great course for entire families to take, because here you're going to learn about our innovative creativity. We weren't just brought here and changed just to do free manual slave labor. There was some innovative genius that they knew we had. If you look up Black inventions, if you look up modern and as well as modern inventions, you'll still find that someone with melanin hue is behind the invention of that. We just haven't seen those representations. So because we don't see ourselves as those innovators, we think that we can't do it. I'm going to show you historical data that shows the innovations we've done. Show you that Thomas Edison and Ben Franklin even wasn't the first to discover electricity, that we had electricity in the Kemet, in the Nile Valley, tens of thousands of years before that. And how we used solar and hydro and water to create power well before modern era, which we're moving towards back into now in this fourth industrial age we're seeing right now with technology. So this space is something that we should be involved in with STEM and STEAM, because this is something that we created. They just named it something different, but it's our way of life. And we're going to get back into that. In STEAM, we're going to talk about, again, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. There's also agriculture, astronomy, arts, these things that we talk about to inspire us to understand that we can build our own selves, our own communities like we used to. Okay. So again, these are 4 courses that I'm offering at just $149. Now here's the beauty of it, right? Is for $149, you can basically take a class for yourself and then bring up to 3 other people. So you can bring your spouse, your cousin, your sibling, your friend, your children to take the course with you, or they can take one of the other 3 courses. So you're really getting a big bang for this $150. And again, this is a summer course that I'm offering because I really want to do this give back for us and make it easily accessible, make it affordable for us over the summer. I know we want to be summer and doing our own thing. 6 sessions, and it's biweekly, so it's not every week. And it's anywhere between June 1st and August 3rd. We'll be finishing up. But for $159, and you can bring 4 of your people to get financially educated, that's a hell of a steal. And I would love to offer that to the community. So if you're interested, there's QR code, picture of it on your screen if you're looking off your phone, and then, or you can QR code it, or you can go to wait a minute, put this in here now. I'm trying to put this in here. This thing is so slow. Sorry, y'all. Yeah, I got to really get on StreamYard. They're bugging out. But anyway, let me go to the next one. I'm not going to spend all day on this here. Another one is my book. If you haven't read it yet, it is called, and here's there's information on the bottom there. Oh, come on. Sorry, y'all. This stuff is just delayed. Okay, here we go. So you can go to cryptowoke.com for details about the summer workshop camps that are beginning again June 1st. So sign up now if you can, if you're interested. We also have my book, Intergenerational Wealth Planning for Black People, that covers, step-by-step points on how to address the issues that we've been dealing with as far as money. all step by step how to implement some of the lessons to put yourself on a path of sustainability. But you have a workbook that's all included, that comes with it, so it walks you through. This book is available in paperback, audiobook, and ebook. So if that interests you, you can also go to theworldmovement.com for details. You can scan the QR code, and I see now that the logo is kind of covered, so that's my bad. I also have self-help manuals, hack manuals. These are short reads that, 10 to 20 pages that can show you how to do some things that in finances that can better your awareness. So you might want to think about how to quickly pay off your mortgage and car in 6 steps. How to pay off debt using wealth building tips in six steps. How to build business credit. What's an FEN, a financial endurance number, and how do you budget yourself to know, what I have coming in versus what I got going out. These, again, are conversations and skills and lessons that we should have been taught in school that they purposely did not teach us. So when you learn these type of things, it will give you a whole nother idea and focus on how you can chart yourself moving forward. Okay. And you can find all this information if you go to my site, cryptowokemovement.com. It's a host of information there, not only for the courses, but there's blogs, articles, videos, etc. You can go there and check out for more details. I'm absolutely implore you to go ahead and visit that. So these are the packages I'm offering tonight from this class. For my session tonight for this episode is, again, learning how to become financially educated. Again, it starts with therapy, understanding that we have an issue. And then when you have an issue, then you can now reverse engineer it and find solutions. And these are 4 solutions I am offering you. If you do find of interest, go to cryptowokemovement.com and that'll help you get you there. All right. So I look forward to working with you for those that are interested to get you crypto woke. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and get ready and close out tonight because that is the end of today's episode. I hope that you found it to be enlightening. Oops, I don't want to do that. Hope that you found it to be enlightening. I hope that you found the information was provocative and making you think about some things, make you readdress some things that you might not have thought about or co-sign what you already were thinking. The bottom line is that we need to be talking about this information. We need to be talking about finances. We need to be talking about addressing the problems that we have, because if we don't, they'll continue and they'll be passed on as it's been passed on to us from our elders. Okay, so it's very important to take this information seriously, because finance is going to always be with us till our last dying breath. And it's better for us to figure out how we can maintain and manage it now than it is to be in a space where we really don't have much to leave for those that are following us, but more debt. Okay, so with that said, I want to give thanks for you all for tuning in. There's a question here, brother Jarvis. Are the course material and modules or pre-recording? They are live. Great question. The lessons are done live via Zoom, but recordings are recorded and they will be shared with you once the course is over. If you do take a class and you miss a class, it is recorded and can be sent to you. So you will have this at your disposal for continued research if you choose to do so. So great question, brother. I meant to mention that. Thank you for bringing that up. But with that said, if you did find tonight to be informative and you haven't pressed the like button yet, I greatly appreciate you doing that. If you are able to share these episodes with folks, I really do appreciate that too. I think tonight's topic is very, very important. So I hope that you will revisit this episode, share this episode, and understand the importance of us in finances, because that's not going anywhere. If you really want to create some alleviation, if you want to repair your relationships with your loved ones, if you want to repair the relationship with yourself and your stress levels, finances is one of the key to get there, because we don't talk about information about finances enough because we didn't know we had to. Now you know. Now that you know, it's what you choose to do with it, right? Madase Sister, exactly. Give thanks. So with that said, again, please, if you like the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. It helps me build the channel to reach more people. That is my ultimate goal. It is not about being popular. It's about sharing information that I think that needs to be shared that is not out there. I can't find it. So I'm like, well, if not me, who? And if not now, when? Right? So with that said, I'm going to close out this evening. I give thanks again for your time, for staying on with me. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We're doing Boule Part 2. And we're going to talk about my personal experiences being in a fraternity Alpha Phi Alpha, some things I went through that made me decide to get out of it once I learned about the Boule. And then Thursday, we're going to be talking about STEAM, from slave ships to steamships, that course. And we're going to talk about some of those things that I share in that course. All right. So with that said, I say, Pav, give thanks for your time. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Be well. Bless. Ouch.